Yeah, yeah, yeah. So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit of accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge. They don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like. Wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. My name is Pam Esquire, also known as your Law Intellect, and welcome to all of my intellects, all of the new subscribers. Welcome to all of my old subscribers. Welcome back. I know you guys have been waiting since Saturday. When I posted it, see, I had to put it in my calendar because otherwise I probably wouldn't have came on, so I had to make it like a part of my agenda. So that's why I posted the thumbnail on Saturday. But then I said, Pam, you better go back and put it in the pen in the comments that this is not until Monday because they gonna be waiting. So that's why I put it in there. I hope you guys aren't waiting for hours and hours and hours. And I apologize to those for the confusion because I see people in the comments, they were talking. I'm like, oh, dang, they didn't look to see that it was Monday. But anyway, I hope you guys had a fabulous Monday and a fabulous Mother's Day. And I can't say that we're going to be here quick. We'll probably be here for a minute because I really love you guys because the way I had to go try to unravel all this stuff like this was really my case or something. You guys will never believe. So I stayed away from the ownership portion of the glory of God situation. And there was a reason. The reason is why we're going to be here as long as we are today. It's a long story. So, what we focused on was the actual eviction. That's what we focused on because we had orders and we knew that glory of God was ordered. There was an order that allowed them to stay in the church. And I'm gonna pull up the article. We started all of this. This article, I don't know which one of you guys sent me this article and asked me to talk about it, but this is what started. There's a whole never-ending case that we've been going on with Glory of God and Lamor Whitehead. So after I kept telling, I was like, no, we're just going to stay away from the ownership because they're still in litigation on who owns it. But under the law, you cannot use self-help to evict anyone. You have to go through the proper procedures. And we knew that there was an order that didn't allow them to evict. So I tried my best to stay on that, right? But then I started watching all of these other content creators trying to dissect and figure out what happened, what was the ownership, what was their labeling. So then I felt compelled that I at least could try to answer the questions that I can. Now, if you guys know me, you know that I don't litigate in the media, I don't litigate on YouTube. So I'm going to give you as much information as I can without compromising the cases that they have. And then a lot of their pleadings are a bit confusing too. So people were sending me the pleadings. I was like, oh boy. And they've had various, Glory of God has had various attorneys on this case as well. So I'm sure that that has caused a bit of, confusion. So wait a minute. You said my camera's blurry. Is that better? Let me know if the camera is still blurry. It looks okay on my screen. I know it's delayed in the comments, but So this is the article because I had to remind myself. I'm like, how did I get wrapped up into this when I had to like start going back through it? Yeah, you guys make sure you hit this like button because your girl put in work. I had to put in straight up work. I had to track some information down that we may or may not get to just on some of these companies. It was just a lot going on in order for me to bring you guys the most in-depth commentary that has to do with this church. So if you guys recall, this is the article that started it all. Okay. I was just on here talking about something totally different, minding my business. And then somebody said, you know, the church that Whitehead is in now, he locked them out. I'm like, what? Really? And if you guys have been my day ones, you follow me as we try to unravel this whole entire situation. So then our nosy selves, this is the robbery again on this article. Look at him sitting over here. Look at that. Yeah. So anyway, our nosy self was like, okay, let's go and try to try to see what's going on. So this is the article that started it, and it says an unholy war is brewing in Brooklyn. And I'm just gonna start from the beginning because we have a lot of new people, and I want this video to be the video that encompasses everything because it was over a course of videos that we talked about the whole glory of God saga. So I want to make sure you guys can go to one video. So when people want to know what was going on with glory of God, you can go to this one video. Because at first I was going to make a playlist and then organize it. And then I said, no, I'm just going to do one video because people were asking me and emailing me about it. So the article was by the Daily News, and it has Bling Bishop Lamor Whitehead is embroiled in a nasty real estate battle with another church and booted its congregation out of a house of worship just days before Christmas. The legal fight over a Canarsie church building is the latest chapter in the saga of the flashy cleric, who was indicted on federal fraud and extortion charges earlier this week. On December 14th, so all this started December 14th, 2022, Whitehead had a work crew change the locks at the Glory of God Global Ministry Church on Foster Avenue near East 59th Street, and what the church's lawyer Nicholas Yokos referred to as one of the most brazen illegal commercial lockouts I've seen in over a decade of practice. Now, even this person right here, I don't think is the attorney on the case anymore. And Whitehead oversaw the work personally, accompanied by NYPD officers. One of the church deacons, Vernon Wilson, testified in Brooklyn Housing Court Wednesday. He said to us that he's in the possession of the building and that he has the right to do whatever he wants. The deacon said, and over the weekend, Whitehead's workers threw the church's belongings and furniture in a dumpster, Wilson said. Whitehead's position is that he bought the property fair and square at an auction nearly a year ago after the church's pastor lost the building to foreclosure, and the church has been squatting there ever since, his lawyer, Brian Ponder, told the Daily News. That building was sitting abandoned, and they would basically unlawfully enter it on Sundays and have services, Ponder said. And then recently, the bishop, stopped that. They were not evicted because they were not tenants. Ponder added, they're trying all they can to be able to get a house of worship for free, a $2 million building for free. The church's leaders went to Brooklyn Housing Court Wednesday, where Judge Gila Capel ordered them back onto the property after Yokos argued that the 150 to 200 congregants were illegally locked out without an eviction warrant or a writ of ejection. So what we talked about, guys, all of this time, we talked about this article, and I said, because they're still in litigation, we're going to try to stay away from the ownership portion. But no, everybody wants to ask me questions about ownership. So I am going to try my best with the time you guys allow me. And I am a little early because I wanted to make sure I did that intro so people could come in, because you guys had 2 days. I had this posted 2 days ago For all of the people that say they don't get notifications, I'm like, they're going to scroll through that timeline and see it for today. So that was the explanation that was given. So let's start, Pam. It's a lot of work to sort out this mess. It is. Thank you so much. And I totally appreciate your super chat. Thank you. Okay. Let's get ready, guys, because we are in here for a little minute. So, Glory of God Global Ministries is run by the pastor Williams and his wife. According to my sources, because some of the stuff is going to be information people told me, so it's alleged. You guys just assume it's allegedly. According to my sources, they wanted to purchase a building for a place to worship. They were already pastors, already had congregants. They had a real estate attorney that worked in their church who introduced them to a guy named Grossman. Okay, that's his last name. R. Grossman. So this real estate attorney, who was also a member, said, hey, these people can finance you for this building. So I want to go back so I can show you guys, if you guys don't remember, what Glory of God purchased during that time. So this was, I don't know why. Let me see if I could make it bigger. Ooh. So anyway, Glory of God purchased this building. As you see, it has the available. It was a car garage, some auto spot. This is the outdoors in black and white. This right here was the inside. This was literally an auto body shop. And you guys seen my thumbnail shows what it looks like now. Look, still had old abandoned cars in it. This is what they went to purchase. Now, what did they purchase it for, Pam? I'm glad you guys asked. This is the original. Wait a minute. This is the original deed. They purchased it from Clara Realty and it went to Triple C Venture. Now, let me explain this Triple C Ventures situation. When it came down to mortgaging the property, when it came down to getting the mortgage on the property, when they were at closing, according to my sources, they were advised that they couldn't do it in the name of Glory of God. So they have a LLC that was formed, of which the pastor's wife, who was also a pastor, I think they co-pastor, was the sole member. And this is supposed to also, I guess, be an easier way to refinance, which you'll see was the goal when they first got this property. So they get it from Clara Realty. This is the first mortgage that was on there. Okay, they buy it for 2 point. Let me show you guys. So I'm gonna go on the acres, which is the place that you can look at to look at all this information I'm showing you with the deeds, the mortgages, and all of that good stuff. As you see from from the deed search, from the New York City Department of Finance Office of the City Register, they paid $2.2 million. Now we need to go over the mortgages so that you can understand that portion. Told you, I'm gonna walk y'all through this, so I hope you got time. Because I want, if you guys start losing me, say I'm losing you. So now I am going to show the actual mortgages so you guys can understand how they was paying for this $2.2 million building. So here is one. This is the mortgagor, Triple C Venture. Again, that's the same as Gloria Guide for those that was wondering. It's just in a corporation. They had a mortgage with Stryker, $925,000. You see, it has the mortgage. If you look on, you can see any mortgages, and we all know that's a lien on the property. There was also a second mortgage. Now, all of these happened on December 26, 2014. So this is when they purchased the property, December 26, 2014. Okay. We have a second mortgage, and that is from Shoriviger Trust. I don't know how to pronounce it. That was for $549,830. We have a third mortgage, and we'll get back to like who is the owner and stuff of that trust or the trustee on that trust. The third mortgage is Clara Realty, who we just saw own the property prior to, and they have a mortgage for $280,000. So we have 3 mortgages. So when they come to the table, now they had a real estate attorney. I told you she worked at the church. When they come to the table, that's a lot of mortgages, a lot of monthly payments to pay, right? This second mortgager, and I believe someone told me the first and the second mortgagees, I guess, they know each other. I don't know if they're the same people, but I do know the second mortgage, the second person that gave the mortgage is going to come up later. So while they're at the table, my understanding is the goal is to refinance. This is 3 mortgages. Everybody wanted lumped up into one mortgage so everybody can get paid off immediately. So the second mortgage, they had an agreement where payments weren't going to be due immediately because they acknowledged it would be hard for them to pay it off, like doing it monthly with everybody else because it's 3 mortgages. And so I don't know the actual time they had or whatever, but they were going to get all their money back in the lump sum because they were going to refinance. If you refinance, put it all together, all of them will get paid separately and it'll be paid off. And then they just owe this one entity. All of this was December of 2014, as you see. 2015 comes sometime in 2015. The pastor wants to take out a loan. He goes to Grossman. This is the second mortgage person, and presume it may be the first two, because apparently the second mortgage person introduced them to the first. So they know each other, but I can't prove if they the same entity or whatever. Like I may be able to prove some other stuff later on that we're going to get to. So this is what they're saying is that Grossman is in one and first and second mortgage. I don't know, but definitely the second mortgage, because we can see for the second mortgage, is his name on here? No, let me see. Well, we know the second mortgage is Grossman because we can actually look on the acres and see that. So anyways, so he says, hey, we're trying to do some stuff. We want to do fundraisers for the church or whatever their reasoning was that they needed a loan. So they go back to Grossman for the money. This is the second mortgager. He basically says, okay, well, you guys are in the process of refinancing. And so all this can be lumped up in the refinancing. But before that happened, they were going to have an event. The event didn't work out the way that they thought, because they thought they were just going to be able to pay this fourth loan basically back. The event doesn't work out. And so all of this is supposed to be in the refinancing. So then Grossman again introduces to somebody to do the refinancing. They get there, they got all the documents together according to what I was told. This is allegedly. They get there, and when they go to closing, Grossman was asking for, and I'm not a real estate person or a real estate attorney, Grossman was asking for like 9 points. I don't even know what that means, but apparently he was asking for some large amount of points. it wasn't working out for the people that wanted to refinance. The whole refinancing thing was a bust. Now, during this time, I do have check copies that Glory of God was still paying on the mortgages that they agreed to pay on. So they were still making monthly payments. So when they made this deal for this fourth one, it was with YYSB. That loan, if you see, that was never filed as a mortgage. Because what YYSB, what I've learned with some of these individuals, they give out loans, but they won't say it's a mortgage, but they'll take your deed and say it's for property security. So you're using it to secure your loan, but they're not doing it in the same way that a mortgage company would do it. So this loan, apparently, all the documents was filled out and they had an attorney. And a part of that was, I guess perhaps you fill out the deed paperwork, but they hold it in escrow. So it's not supposed to be released. You're not supposed to file it. This is just your security. During all this time, they are trying to refinance. In the interim, their attorney who introduced them to Grossman, according to them, I don't have a name. I probably wouldn't put it out there anyway. That attorney who was a member ended up in jail. So she ended up being some type of, I don't know what she did, but she ended up losing her license and going to jail. So they continuing to worship in the building, continuing to pay the mortgages that they were supposed to pay. They're still trying to refinance because they want to bunch all these loans together. But in January, and you'll see in January of 2018, this is the deed where Triple C Venture, which is Glory of God, files the actual deed. If you see of what I'm saying, the document dated was prepared September 3rd, 2015. It was actually, they filed it January. Let me look on here to see when they filed it. But they filed it like 3 years later. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate it. Thank you, son. I told y'all we gonna be here for a little minute. Let me know. Make sure you know I'm not losing anybody because I was. Let me see. So let me go back. Wait 1 second. I'm trying to see when it was filed. Okay. I think I found it. Thank you, MS Bynum. That was my intent. That's why I wanted you guys to be, because we was gonna be here for a while. So we're back on Acres. Triple C Venture did not file this deed that was supposed to just be for security for the building. The church believed it was for security of the building, just like those other mortgages that were filed. So you're thinking it's a lien. But in actuality, it appears they had them sign papers, which allowed them to pretty much have the deed, but they never filed it. So you wouldn't know that that's what it was, because if you looked at it, they held it. And then when in January of 2018, January 23rd, as you see right here, 2018 at 3:58 p.m., they filed it in 2018. Again, it was prepared in 2015. Glory of God, according to them, had absolutely no clue that they were no longer the title owner. They're continuing to pay on this first mortgage, third mortgage, whatever. Again, I have checks. I just didn't feel like redacting all of them because they had account numbers on it. They continue to pay. Then I'm not sure how they found out about this tax foreclosure sale, but then there's a tax foreclosure sale. So I'm going to show you that. A complaint was filed by New York. And thank you, Dev. See, I was working hard. I'm telling you guys to try to figure this out for y'all, because I just heard all type of stuff. So as you see, on March 7, 2018, a summons was issued for a tax lien foreclosure. If you see the different people that notice was given to it, was that YYSB Trust, not Glory of God, because they had filed, literally they filed, ironically, they filed the deed in January 2018. So that means any notices of this foreclosure they didn't get. They're not even privy to it, or they're not even supposed to be put on notice, because they had a deed that was filed and they're no longer considered the owner. So they didn't know anything about this tax foreclosure sale. So if you see, YYSB Trust was notified, New York City Department was notified, Shore River Trust was notified. That's the first mortgager. Claire Realty was notified. Morrissey, all these mortgagers, right? All the ones with the liens, they have to be notified that it's going to be a tax sale. So they get a call from the people from the Shore River Trust, which is the first mortgage, who's like, "Hey, what's up with this tax foreclosure sale? What's going on?" So this is how they find out it's even going into tax foreclosure sale, because the first mortgager is like, "Well, what's going on?" So they made them aware. Now, I heard two different ways that they found out about the tax being, the deed being filed and signed over permanently to YYSB. So I'm not sure about how they found out that the deed was over. I heard it was because of this tax sale, but then I also heard that they actually were refinancing. And when they got to the end, they were at closing to refinance all these loans. And they was like, y'all don't even own this building. So we did a title, they do a title search. And they do a title, they look at your title or whatever, and they seen that they didn't own it. So I've heard two different ways that they learned about it. I'm not sure which one that it is, because I've talked to a few people. But nevertheless, they learned about the title was switched over to YYSB. This was filed in 2018. If you guys recall, they didn't do the sale until 2022. So these people are continuously paying all these people, like the first mortgage, the Claire Realty, they're still paying every month. They paying all these people. So then in 2022 is when all the notices came out. Like they were giving people notice right before they were going to do the sale. So that's how they found out. So what they do is, of course, they get an attorney. Their attorney tries to intervene in the tax foreclosure sale. So when they try to intervene, they basically were saying, hey, this deed wasn't supposed to go to them. They signed it over to themselves with YYSB. They shouldn't have signed it over to themselves. This was just a security for the loan that we're trying to refinance. This was not supposed to be where I gave them the building and they gave me the money. It wasn't a purchase. It was supposed to be, they wasn't selling the bill. They had all these liens. That don't even make any common sense. So they weren't selling the bill. They were just doing it for, security. So they had an attorney that tried to intervene and tried to explain that and when you intervene so they're saying that they should be allowed in this lawsuit, this tax foreclosure lawsuit. And they're saying because the deed should have been theirs. If they had notice of the tax foreclosure sale, they would have paid for it. Because look, y'all, look at what the taxes that was outstanding. I want you guys to see what all this that caused all of this, how much was owed on taxes. Look, property tax, $74,000. They done pay more in attorney fees than this. So out of all the fees that then came on, this was as of August 27, 2009. They owe $123,415.01. That's what they owe. So of course, if they knew about it, why wouldn't you just pay it? But they didn't know about it. So they trying to intervene. Now, you asked the interesting question on whether, do churches even supposed to be paying taxes? I'm so lost. Their accountant, they being glory of God, their accountant told them they did not have to pay taxes. So that's why glory of God wasn't paying any taxes or wasn't paying any attention. Now it's up in the air whether you're supposed to pay taxes, whether it's personal taxes or was that applies to property taxes. I don't know. Anybody in the chat that knows, let your girl know. I'm not sure. But that's why they were saying that they never paid the taxes, because once it got certified as a nonprofit and they attached that to their motion to intervene in this tax foreclosure sale, they said we didn't even know we were supposed to be paying taxes because our accountant told us we didn't have to. Now, whether there was a miscommunication on what taxes you had to pay or not pay, I don't really know. So that was a very good question because that came out as well. So moving on. So Glory of God's attorney attempts to intervene. I'm showing you guys this is how much money all this is over. And when I looked at it, I'm like, wow, all this headache, and you guys probably could have just paid this. So Glory of God their attorney tries to intervene. And essentially, again, they were saying that the deed was supposed to be for security, and that because it was really for security, y'all got to do a foreclosure like everybody else. You can't just say, okay, today I'm going to file this deed and I'm going to move on. No, you got to go through the process just like everybody else do, right? Typically, if you're in a home and there is some type of mortgage and you don't pay and it goes into foreclosure, they got to do a foreclosure sale. So that was their argument, is that they transfer, regardless of what you're saying, the circumstance was, you guys didn't even notify us that you just switched it over and you went on ahead and filed it. So that was their argument. See, they say, on March 7, 2018, plaintiff commenced this action for a tax lien foreclosure on the property, and they attached the summons and complaint. Due to YYSB Trust illegally recording the deed in lieu of foreclosure, plaintiff did not give any notice to TCV or Pastor Williams of the current foreclosure action. On December 12, 2018, plaintiff's application to appoint a referee was granted without opposition. On September 11, 2019, the referee determined the amounts owed to plaintiff, and on January 22nd, 2020, a judgment of foreclosure and sale was issued. On January 27, 2022, an auction was held and the property was sold to the highest bidder. So that's what happened with the auction. So on or about March 10th, 2022, Pastor Williams received a phone call from Morris Barenbaum, the attorney for a holder of a lien on the property, where he informed her of the auction. And this was the first notice that they had that there was a tax lien on the property, according to them, according to this document. So let's go. Interesting. So, my question was, why in the world would YYSB not just redeem this property? Because even if you're saying you the owner, I'm like, why would you not even just try to redeem this property? Well, this is why I say all these people are intertwined. If you go on, let me see, because it didn't make sense. I'm like, I could have paid $100 and something thousand. Like, what? If you look on look, Sure Vidra Trust, the trustee is Raphael Grossman. That is the second mortgage. That's why I said I can show that the second mortgage was connected to these Grossmans. If you look at YYSB Trust, I told y'all this is whew, this is why I didn't want to do this. I was like, we're gonna be here all day trying to figure this out, but I'm trying to help y'all. If you look at, let me go to the deed. Is it on here? See, Raphael Grossman is a trustee for YYSB. I said, so essentially, they knew what was going on. They knew that there was a tax foreclosure sale, so YYSB didn't even try to do it. So apparently, the way it looked to me, okay, the building was sold in tax foreclosure for 1.9. All of these people have put in notices to get surplus, because if it's sold for 1.9, but the tax lien was only 100 and something thousand, then all these lien holders are supposed to get paid. So that means Grossman, your lien got paid. Like after the second lien or the 500 and whatever thousand ended up getting paid in the foreclosure. So I was just like, okay, this is very interesting. So, anyways, I digress. So, in order, the court, they try to intervene. They be in glory of God with their attorney. The order of the court pretty much said they denied their ability to intervene. And let me tell you why. Let me share this. If you look at their reasoning, they said proposed intervener Triple C Venture, which is glory of God, order to show cause is denied in its entirety without prejudice and with leave to renew. All stays are hereby lifted, because they stayed all the proceedings when they asked them to have a hearing to talk about this illegal transfer that they were alleging. The proposed intervener contends that defendant YYSB illegally and without commencing a foreclosure action recorded a 2015 deed in 2018, transferring ownership of the property from the proposed intervener to the defendant. However, in support of Movement's contention, Movement failed to annex any documentation indicating that the 2015 deed was intended only as security in the nature of a mortgage. So, when they filed their intervening motion, according to what the court is saying, and I'm going to pull up a case. This case right here, she's telling you what they need to show in order to show that this was really a security, not just me giving you the deed for money. There's a difference. Now, even if they tried to flex it in a way that it doesn't look like a mortgage and they didn't file it like everything else, according to the case law, there are other ways that you can determine that this was really supposed to be a security for the loan, as opposed to me just giving you this building for the money, which is what their argument is. They're saying this was just a loan for security. So if you feel like we defaulted because we took too long to get the refinancing or whatever the issues were, you should have did a foreclosure sale. Like, you don't just get to transfer the deed. But the court, and they did it without prejudice. See, it said without prejudice and with leave to renew. So basically, glory God, have your attorneys come back and show us whatever information that you have so that we can show that this was a security, as opposed to you just giving this building to them. And this is the case that they cited. So now we getting our teacher hat on. I told y'all to get your pens out because this is going to be here for a minute. So in this case that the court cites, this is what they're telling you need. I'm just going to go down to what the law says. Real property law section 320 provides in pertinent part that, quote, a deed conveying real property which by any other written instrument appears to be intended only as security in the nature of a mortgage, although an absolute conveyance in terms must be considered a mortgage. So the law says, even though y'all trying to say this ain't no mortgage, I'm just holding it for security and this is just a regular loan that I want them to pay back, that's still considered a mortgage under the law. So it has, the statute does not require conclusive showing that the transfer was intended as security. It is sufficient that the conveyance appears to be intended only as a security in the nature of the mortgage. So what they needed to show the court, maybe I'm giving out too much information because they paying attorneys right now. But anyways, what they needed to prove to the court was that YYSB, for it to be considered invalid or to try to expunge that deed, was to show it was just for security and you wasn't just giving them the building and they was just giving you the money. So Tavia says, mortgage point is a discount point you pay for a lower interest rate on your purchase of refi. For example, if you take out a mortgage for 100K, 1 point will cost you 1K. Oh, so they wanted like 9,000. Okay, thank you so much. I'm not a mortgage gal. Okay, so that's the law. If they can prove that essentially this was, regardless of whether you signed a deed over, if they can prove that this was supposed to be security, just like those other 3 mortgages that are filed with Acres, then they have pretty much satisfied, or I'm not going to say satisfied, but they got, that could be their argument. So I was just doing my thing looking, because I'm like, they had to have done this, something similar to this before. This is not new. Just like we talked about Whitehead, a lot of stuff he's doing, we like, it ain't new. Ain't much new under the sun. So I was able to actually find a case. So we just gonna go to the right for a minute before we get to the actual eviction portion of him putting them out, which is why we're here today. Because that's the part where we harped on this channel, was just the eviction portion, because all of this was so convoluted and it's still in litigation and still should be litigated. So I found a case, right? Of which, let me see if I can pull that case up. Hold on. No, that's not it. I got to pull out my archives. So now you guys see the law that even if people try to play and say the loan that came out, try to make, we don't have to do a foreclosure because it wasn't a mortgage. No, under the law, if they can prove that it was for security, regardless of whether it was done in the traditional manner, it's still considered a mortgage and you need to be foreclosed. You need to go through the proper processes. So let's get into it. There was a case that was filed, and it was a guy. I'm going to give you just the background. His case is a little bit different, but I read some of the depositions in that case, which gave me background on how YYSB, these Grossmans and all of them work. There was a guy, this is not Gloria God. This case, it was a guy who actually, he was foreign. He barely spoke English, apparently, because they had an interpreter at the deposition, just to let you know. His house went into foreclosure. Someone approached him named Mr. Smith, I'm making a name up, came and approached him and said, if you sign your deed over to me, then I'll go ahead and get you refinancing and save your home. What Mr. Smith did, according to the complaint, in the depositions is Mr. Smith goes to the people at YYSB, which were the Grossmans. I think it was a different Grossman actually. Went to him and said, "Hey, can we get this $75,000 to try to save this house to refinance?" They, in turn, after the homeowners signed the deed over to Mr. Smith, thinking that Mr. Smith had the money and can do the refinancing. Mr. Smith goes to YYSB and say, "Hey, this is what we need is $75,000. Can you please, give us the $75,000?" In turn, Mr. Smith signed this man's deed over to YYSB. YYSB gave them the deed, gave them the $75,000. This is all alleged because it's in a complaint. So what ended up happening was the poor homeowner never got the money and he lost his house. So the actual person that came to him kept the money, never paid it to the homeowner at all. Even though he got the money, Mr. Smith got the money from YYSB, never paid it to the homeowner at all. And so the homeowner ended up being he went through all this litigation. It was like the litigation, ironically, was happening at the same time as this Gloria God stuff. It was filed in 2015 and it wasn't concluded till probably 2019. They moved real slow in New York. So it took a while to be concluded. So this guy was suing, saying it was a conspiracy between YYSB and these people in order to get his property and then, whatever. So that was the gist of the case. But what was interesting is in that case, there were depositions that took place. So depositions, for those of you that don't know, in civil litigation mainly, I think you can do it in criminal, but I've never done it in criminal. You have, for those, I'm sure some people that have been involved in depositions, we get testimony under oath after we file a case. So I may, subpoena you and tell you that I'm going to ask you certain questions related to my case. It's under oath. That means you ain't supposed to be lying. One of the people that was deposed was Israel Grossman. And I think he was very telling on how they do what they do, if you pay attention. So he says, let me see if I could get to the page. First of all, background. Israel Grossman is an ex-attorney. I think he's an ex-attorney. You know what? Let me take that back. I know he was disbarred. I'm gonna go through I'm gonna go through it in the transcript on the back and forth. I don't want nobody coming for me because I don't need no white vans coming for me. I'm just reporting so the people won't be confused at what's going on the best way that I can. So first of all, he says, they asked him, "Have you purchased other deeds with mortgages outstanding?" Because this guy had mortgages on it. So they like, why would you just take a deed similar to Gloria God and you not even taking into account any of these other mortgages that's on here, but you taking these properties? Israel Grossman alleges this their first time doing it in this case, but we all know that the Gloria God stuff was happening at the same time. So I'm trying to. This was, first of all, he was an ex-attorney. So this deposition was super long. It was over 100 pages, which is ridiculous. And a lot of stuff he was very combative. Attorneys are the worst witnesses. First of all, we think we anticipating where you going with it. We try to, a lot of them try to evade the questions. I've had to depose former attorneys last month. It was the first time I think I've ever deposed attorneys. And it is a little different because they almost anticipate what you're trying to do, or they think they do, and they can be very combative. And if you look at this transcript, they got very, very contentious. So they went back and forth on how did you determine if you didn't do it, because this guy was for this homeowner. He was basically alleging that they never even he don't even know if they did a title search. The man just came and said, "Hey, I got this property that I can give you. Give me 75,000." And he's alleging he ain't even do a title. He don't know if they did a title search because he don't really care. He just knows if there's a mortgage on it, then the mortgage is going to be less than what the property is worth or something crazy like that. Like people don't take out equity loans and everything else. It was just the craziest back and forth that I had ever seen. Okay. See, so in this case, they asked him, so it's your testimony that you didn't worry about the outstanding mortgage at all on the property when you made to the loan to Mr. Million, as you said, is that your testimony? And he responded, the testimony is we felt that ownership of this deed would be good security. So it shows you right here that when they make these types of transactions, they do them for security. They're not in the business of trying to buy property. They try to give you a loan and don't do it the mortgage route, if y'all following me, but they hold the deed as security. And that was very, very present throughout this deposition that that's what they were doing. Look, and then they asked, look, okay, question, okay, and do you have any other dealers in real estate? He said no. I'm like, what? So he said they ain't got no other question, no other real estate going on. It's a lot in this deposition. But I'm gonna show you the back and forth. Then they asked him, what is your criteria for determining whether fraud has occurred on a piece of real property? Answer, first, I don't get to fraud until I have reason to suspect fraud. In this particular case, I had no reason to suspect fraud. So then he says, well, so question, so what would be something that would make you think a deed was not good enough for a transfer of title to lend on behalf? Well, if the deed on his face clearly showed it was not. I don't know. I never met Mr. Surreal, so I don't know his signature, but apparently there was a notary there. So we relied on the notary that notarized his signature. So we wouldn't suspect that there was forgery in his signature. That is something the notary has a license. It's probably only going to sign and notarize. If Mr. Surreal was there and did give a deed to American foreclosure, so we really could rely pretty much on the deed. So what he's saying is, I could come to him, according to his testimony. I can say, hey, I got this deed and I'm gonna need 100,000. And you just give me 100,000, I give you the deed, and you really don't suspect anything is up until the payments don't come to you. It was just the craziest all over the place deposition. But anyway. So, anyways, that case had a lot of information in the deposition transcripts that honestly, as you can see, what they do, they give out loans and then they take these deeds and they don't necessarily file them. I guess they don't file them until they feel like you have defaulted on the loan, and then they go ahead and register them. So when they feel there's a default, because it's alleged, we don't know, then they go ahead and they just file the deed in lieu of foreclosure. And I don't know if that's their way to try to avoid the mortgage sale, but as you see from the law, it's still considered a mortgage according to the case we just read. So now we get to they're not allowed to intervene. So here comes 5904, the tax foreclosure sale occurs in January 2022. 5904 Foster Avenue Trust buys the property for 1.9. We don't know, based on the filings, who 5904 Foster Avenue, who the trustee is. We don't know who's behind it. So as soon as the court does not allow Glory of God to intervene, 5904 Foster Avenue Trust files a motion to show cause to kick out Gloria God because they like, oh shoot, we good now. Y'all not, you saying that they can't intervene in the case because they haven't proven that there was fraud or ownership issues or whatnot. We good. Well, the court, and we went over this order already, but we'll go over it again. On September, thank you so much, Daphne. I appreciate it. On I think I missed one too. Cheryl Hill, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Got your girl out here working hard. So y'all see, like I had to literally go through this like this was my case or something. So, but I'll do it for y'all. I'll do it all over again and stay up for hours and hours and hours to try to figure it out. So, anyways, so 5904 Foster Avenue, who buys this building in the tax foreclosure sale, and you guys seen it was for $100 and something thousand. They tried to boot out Gloria God. And the court says 5904 Foster Avenue Trust ordered a show cause to direct Triple C Ventures ejectment from the premises located at 5904 Foster Avenue is denied without prejudice with leave to renew. The movement has failed to submit evidence of proper notice pursuant to RPAPL 713. So now we got to go back to let me find what that actual we're going to go to that statute because we wouldn't be complete without going through the statute. So let me pull it up. So essentially, y'all ain't filed a proper procedure, so you can't just evict them, is what they were saying. 713, I think it's New York Real Property Act Law, Section 713. So it provides in pertinent part, a special proceeding may be maintained under the article after a 10-day notice to quit has been served upon the respondent in the manner prescribed in Section 735 upon the following grounds. Number 4, the property has been sold for unpaid taxes and a tax deed has been executed and delivered to the purchaser, and he or any subsequent grantee, distributee, or devisee claiming title through such purchaser has complied with all provisions of law preceding to the right to possession and the time of redemption by the former owner of occupant had expired. So they cannot kick you out until the redemption period is over from the former owner or occupant. So you got to prove that the time frame has come. They couldn't just kick them out. Now let me go back real quick to this 5904 Foster Avenue Trust. See if I pull that deed up. Let me go back on acres. You're never late, but you're gonna probably have to go back to the beginning because we talked about a whole lot. And but thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. So let me go to this deed. They bought it for 1.9, as you see right here. So you see on here, it didn't say who actually 5904 Foster Avenue Trust. So that's why we was like, well, who are these people? Like, who's the... So if you go through though, look who you record and return to Israel Grossman. 5904 Foster Avenue Trust says return to Grossman. I'm going to leave that right there for a minute. So essentially, it looks like, to me, in my opinion, at least the second mortgagee was Grossman, YYSB was Grossman, and the tax foreclosure people was the same people. That's what it looked like to me, allegedly. Y'all tell me what it looked like to y'all, because y'all the intellects. You guys are my co-counsels. So I was like, how is all these people? So even though we all know what happens next when the bankruptcy occurs. Child, that's what I said. I was like, what? And y'all see, I did the this is why I hate property law scammers come all shapes and sizes. Shout out to Pam Esquire and all of the attorneys who I'm sure are currently in the bushes. Thank you, Mr. CKB. I appreciate you. Yeah, ain't that crazy? I said I'm gonna let y'all marinate on that for a minute. But 5904 Foster Avenue Trust, they started getting harassing calls from somebody saying, not 5904, I'm sorry. Glory of God started getting harassing calls, that's what they labeled it, from somebody claiming that they were the owners trying to tell them to get out of the building. Remember, we kept looking like, we don't see Whitehead name on nothing. That's what made us start trying to figure this stuff out, because we didn't see his name on anything. So then we get to what we talked about in the beginning, the illegal lockout. So after that September order that I showed you guys, where the court said you can't evict them, in December 14, 2022, he takes the locks off allegedly and comes into the building. And you seen they talked about throwing out their stuff. You seen the inside. They said they had money in it. So that's what we were focusing on, guys, because as you see, the ownership is very, very nuanced. So we know that the court said you cannot evict these people, and somehow, in some way, with allegedly the help of the NYPD, he comes into this property. Again, we said, what in the heaven or the hell does Whitehead have to do with this? We were asking that question. We kept saying, what do he have to do with this? But then he doesn't. The court, they end up going to court, as the article says. Gloria God goes to court, and in December of 2021, I'll show that, because you know we got receipts over here. December of 2021, the court tells them, you better let them people back in that building. So we were over here going by documents about you not supposed to be in the building. It wasn't personal. We didn't even know these people. We didn't know Gloria God at all. So they said, as per the decision rendered on the record, the order of the court is as follows. After inquest, the court orders, I can't read, petitioner a judgment of possession against the respondent. So they ordered Gloria God was the petitioner and 5904 Trust was the respondent. And I don't even think anybody showed up to this hearing. So we still didn't know on December 21st, 2022, who the heck the owner was. They go to try to get back in there. He was like, yeah, no. So then Glory of God goes back to the court like, Your Honor, we know that you gave this order, but they not letting us, but this man not letting us back into our building. So then the court says, I'm sorry. This might not be it. I got so many. Okay, that's not it. Let me go find this order. Okay. So then now we on January 25th, 2023. Based upon the facts and evidence presented at inquest before Honorable Judge Capel on December 21st, 2022, this court finds that based on collateral estoppel, petitioner is awarded a final judgment of possession as against respondent and any other occupants of the premises at 5904 to 5912 Foster Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Petitioner is hereby restored to possession forthwith at 5 p.m. today with the assistance of the NYPD plus the 53rd precinct, an escort for petitioner. Further, respondent's cross motion is denied as procedurally improper because it was filed not in lieu of an answer. Without prejudice, application for stay pending appeal is also denied. So they tried to appeal it. The foregoing is without prejudice to petitioner's claim for commercial tenant harassment and treble damage in a separate action. So essentially, the court ordered them back in the building, told them to hand over those keys by 5 o'clock, and then they can come back to the court and pursue their claims for treble damages. That means any damages that Glory of God has obtained because of being illegally locked out, they can prove it to the court and get 3 times the amount. Plus, if they wanted to try to talk about tenant harassment, that's another number. But as we all know, before they was able to do anything, which this gets expensive because now they got lawyers, before they were able to do anything, Whitehead filed bankruptcy. We still was like, well, what he still got to do with this? So is he the trustee? He was saying he was the owner of the building. Getting ready for work, shaking my head. What a mess. Thank you for the super chat. So Whitehead still was in the, he filed the bankruptcy. So that's what we were following. As we all know, when we get to bankruptcy court, we find out, according to what's that guy's name? Moses. He says he is the actual trustee, and that Whitehead, the only thing he was supposed to do was he had permission to, he had permission to try to do a lawful eviction and to go find financing. That's what we learned that his alleged role was. That's what as the limited trustee. Moses said he never gave up his right to be the trustee. He just gave him limited, but I was still a little iffy on that whole addendum. And let me tell y'all why. It was the wording of being specific to say the only thing that they allowed Whitehead to do was to do a lawful eviction. We usually assume it's going to be lawful. So the fact you put it in there, I believe personally, and it's just my opinion, is because you knew, because he was the trustee, however which way that you put it, they're an agent of you, which means they can come after y'all to try to get any damages treble for that property because he came into their property. And he was there from December, January, February, March, April. He was there about 5 months. They had to go find another space. They lost all the money and stuff in there or whatever. And yeah, so I think personally, I don't know their relationship. I still don't know how their relationship is, but hopefully we'll find out soon. Because as you guys know, Whitehead changed the deed over from 5904 Foster Trust to Leaders of Tomorrow, and he filed it. And so now Moses and them and the trust, they are basically suing Whitehead, saying he fraudulently transferred the deed and he ain't paid them $1. So that's that lawsuit that's going on right now. But what I also want you guys to see before we head out of here is when I was looking at the deed, because I'm very intuitive. When you look at this in this deed that transferred from Triple C Ventures to YYSB. So I'm looking at the notary. First of all, the notary is Evelyn Dubov. The first one it doesn't have, okay, so it's signed April, it's signed on the 15th. But when you look down, let me see. Look. So if you look down, affidavit of compliance of the smoke detector. If, for example, all this stuff was filled out in 2015, because they didn't know. So they filled this out. All this was filled out in 2015. How do y'all got a notary for January 3rd, 2018? It says sworn to me before me the 3rd day of January 2018. If all this stuff was filled out to be held in trust and you just signed it over, and filed it after 3 years, how does notary even happen? Since you have to have a notary, I guess, when you file it, I'm assuming. So then I'm like, this Evelyn Dubov is from the deposition transcript I read in a prior case. She is Israel Grossman's secretary. That's who she is. And I have the transcript to prove it if anybody wants proof. You said you were notary and this ain't even right. Tell me what you think, because I'm not the expert on everything. I just noticed it. I'm like, if it was filled out 2015, then how was there a notary saying 2018? That this when all this stuff was filled out. That's all I wanted to know. You listen. I'm nobody's attorney on this case. I'm just a social media lawyer looking at all the documents and trying to bring you guys the facts to bring you clarity and understanding. That's all I'm trying to do. So all this is my opinion and it's alleged. So y'all don't come for me. I just saw this notary on here and I'm like, 2018, but you filled out these papers in 2015. How does that even happen? So essentially it looks like they probably did fill out these documents, but it wasn't no notary or anything, which is what happens when you do a closing, right? So they thought it was held in trust. They didn't give it wasn't complete, I guess, to be able to file on that day. But look, and I'm gonna show you guys because I keep saying I'm gonna let y'all go, but I was digging. So y'all gonna get everything I was digging in about. So let's go to, what's the name of these people? YYSB. So in that previous case that I talked about with the guy that lost his house, they had a trustee that was on that YYSB trust at that time. And his last name, his last name was, what's his last name? Anyway, his last name was Tyner, and he's put on the trust, but he was Israel Grossman's son-in-law. That was his daughter's husband. So he's just put on there. So he's being asked about all this because he's the trustee. So yeah, we're going to depose you because we want to know. And then they ask him, they say, okay, and how many hours per week would you say you devote to your activities as trustee of YYSB Trust? Answer, I would say none. Question, so on an average week, you take no action on behalf of YYSB Trust? Answer, correct. So you just the trustee on here, but then he gives up in this deposition that Israel Grossman is the one who, his father-in-law, and he's the one that put him on it. And I guess he comes to him and tell him this is a good investment for this family trust. And he just go with it. And then he says it's only been one investment to this trust, and that was this loan. Now, all this stuff happened in 2012. So it did the stuff, this lawsuit was happening during the time that Glory of God obviously had their issues because it was 2015. But all of this stuff on this guy with his house happened in 2012 with YYSB. So the guy Grossman's son-in-law was on here at that time. So this is when he says, okay, so I would ask you to produce any documentation you have of the $75,000 loan to American Foreclosure. And then he says, I relied on a family member for the loan, so I wouldn't have any documentation. So he's saying, I ain't got no documents. Okay, I ain't got no documents. And then he said, okay, what is the name of this family member? Israel Grossman. So this is how Grossman comes up because they tell him, he's like, listen, I'm just on the trust. I'm just here. Then they ask question, and was there did you do any other investigation regarding this loan, or did you rely simply on Mr. Grossman? No, I didn't. I did not do any other investigation. I relied on Mr. Grossman. But let me get down. It was something about this notary that I want y'all to see. Was this the first loan transaction you had ever undertaken in your life? He says yes. And again, you relied exclusively on Mr. Israel Grossman, essentially for underwriting that loan. Is that correct? Correct. And he's saying he wasn't introduced to anybody else. He said, okay, what did Mr. Grossman say to you that got you to make the loan, as you say, to American Foreclosure Network Systems? Answer, there's a very good deal, great potential. That's all he had to say. Did you do any investigation on the property or the prior transaction? No. No. Question. So does this deed look familiar? Do you recognize this document that has been noticed as Plaintiff Exhibit 1? So he's showing them the deed that was transferred to YYSB in this real estate transaction. He said no. He the trustee, but he ain't never seen the deed before. That's what he said. He did. He says, and where did the closing happen? Answer, I was not there by the closing. Question, you were not there at the closing? Answer, no. Okay, do you know who Evelyn Dubois is? That's the name of the notary on Glory of God's Notary. Yes. And who is Miss Dubois? She is secretary of Mr. Grossman. I told y'all. So then they asked him, okay, and is this your signature? Yes. Can you read the date there? May 24th, 2013. Okay, can you read, is this your signature? Yes. Can you read that date? May 24th, 2013. Can you see, do you recognize that signature? No. Can you read that date for me? May 24th, 2013. Is that your signature? Yes. Okay, and is that date May 24th, 2013? Yes. Question, this is a notary stamp. Do you know what a notary stamp is? Answer, yes. What is your knowledge of what a notary stamp is? Then the attorney said, do you understand the question? Basically, man, you going down the witness said, yeah, I understand the question. Question, what is your understanding of what a notary stamp means on a document? Answer, certificate, a signature. Question, certifies a signature. Exactly. Now, it's your testimony that you were not at the loan closing, correct? Answer, correct. Question, but yet your signature appears on the loan closing statement from May 24th of 2013. How do you explain that? Answer, the documents were prepared. I signed them, but I wasn't there at the closing. Question, okay, when did you sign them? Answer, I don't recall. Question, was it before or after the loan closing? Answer, before. So from my understanding, I was advised that there was no notary that was present when the documents were filled for that YYSB loan. And I tend to believe that that may be the truth based on the testimony. This is his son-in-law saying, I signed all the documents before and I wasn't even at the closing, and it was just notarized by his secretary. I'm gonna let y'all digest that for a minute. Let me see if there's anything else I needed to tell y'all before I get on off of here and get me some food to eat. Let's see. Let me look and see if you guys have any questions. Maybe I'm talking too much. I don't want the white man coming up to get me. I was just looking at public records and came up with all this. So we taking the notary down. See, they been doing this one. That's why the son didn't think twice. Attorney signing closing statements, but not attending closings. No, he's not the attorney. He was not the attorney. He was the trustee. He's not an attorney. His father-in-law is a former attorney. I don't even think he was an attorney anymore at the time of this closing. I'm not sure. Me too. But wait, aren't you supposed to sign in front of the notary? Right. Unless you have a representative that there. You can have your attorney do things on your behalf, I presume. But those were pre-signed. Those were pre-signed. So obviously you're not verifying the signature if they're not there in front of the notary to verify it. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, please roll back the footage. It's a lot going on. Child, I don't know. I was just going through the documents. I don't know if it's right, wrong, or indifferent for the notary. I'm not a notary either. I have an assistant that is a notary, and she sit there and they do it in front of her. That's all I know. But apparently, somebody is saying it's not uncommon, I guess, for them to do that. I guess that's up for debate. Yeah, there are a lot of notaries that do that. I know that they will try to, stamp stuff or whatever, but no, I'm like, because if you ever get called for something, I need you to say, yes, I was there. That's it. So yes, if you guys are enjoying this content and the platform, please make sure that you like. I'm gonna look and see if I have any questions so yes, for all those just coming in, the ownership of the building is still up in the air, but it's not the way it's being portrayed by some content creators. So that's why I decided that I was going to come on. That I was going to come on and try to explain it. Did they file a HUD because the alphabet groups don't like when HUDs are not shell games? I don't see how folks are willing to. So all this stuff was really before Whitehead, like the stuff that was happening already. And then, according to Moses, Whitehead approached him when they did the foreclosure sale and expressed his interest in purchasing the building. So that's supposed to be how Whitehead came in. So really, this really ain't have much to do with him. And I don't understand why he's so enamored in the purchasing of the building or whatnot, because it really ain't have anything to do with him. So basically, Glory God has been taking advantage of the scammers have been scamming on each other all along. I guess that's the hey really be I guess that is the summary. I bet them people are calling LW all kind of ends. Could it be the overseer attempts to become the master? It was all good maybe when they sent someone after the church folks. There's so much my eyes are twitching. Yes. Glory of God, unfortunately, we're taking advantage of. Hopefully, this will be a lesson for them to be business smart and on point. They need integral attorneys to handle their affairs. Bingo. I agree. Because apparently their attorney that introduced them to Grossman in the first place is no longer an attorney, according to them, and also did time. So they were trying to get some of their documents from her and some of their emails and stuff from her. And apparently, I don't know if she's available to do so or if I don't know how the state does it when you get disbarred as far as your different documents or whatever. But let me just say, everything here is alleged, okay? So I don't want no problems. This is our commentary and our opinion. This is based on even the documents. Read my description. I'll paint it out very well for you. Even when you file lawsuits, it's alleged whatever's in the lawsuit. Now, I did show y'all some testimony that's under oath, what they said in that other case. That's testimony that can be used. So my point was, it's my belief that glory of God, because based on the people that are affiliated with YYSB, it's my opinion that based on the testimony that I saw, is that they don't buy property, but what they do is take your deed and have you sign it over. They don't file it. You pay your payments back to them similar to a mortgage. And if you don't pay it, then they go ahead and say, well, we just gonna file, we're gonna actually register the deed as ours and we take your property. That's what it looks like they do to me. If you guys see something different, then you guys let me know. But that's what I got from it. Whitehead saw the opportunity in this mess called ownership and took advantage of them. Sounds unbelievable and scared me on so many levels. Nothing shocks me anymore. Thank you again for the super chat. Notary is supposed to see you sign. You have to put your notary logbook, their ID information. They have to sign the logbook. They are supposed to show ID to prove to the notary it's them, unless other states do it differently. That's what they do here too. Thank you, Steve, and I appreciate that. You don't file a HUD, but the buyer and seller are each supposed to sign it. Okay. You sound like you know what you're talking about. So if you have any suggestions on what Gloria guys should do or what went wrong here, I invite, or if you want to come on, I have time for you to come on. If you want to come on and talk about it, because you've given us a lot of mortgage information, because it's not my cup of tea. I don't portray to know everything, but yes. My daughter is a notary and does not stamp nothing without the person signing in front of her, period. Yeah. Hello. Hey, G darling. Thank you. Not uncommon, but is illegal. Mm. But the dates ain't matching. Like the dates ain't dating. She didn't sign that in January in front of a notary in order for it to be filed. That paperwork, according to her and them, was filled out back in March. And whenever I gave y'all the date, in 2015. Notary just verifies signature. They don't verify. Yeah, I understand that, but how you verify a signature if they not there? I don't do signings anymore, but there's some fraud. The son said I'm not going down with Katie. All right. If y'all got any questions, like type them now, because I can't go back no further. And the dates ain't dating. What you say? The street lights are out this time. He trying to get me off of here. I'm enjoying myself because you guys know. No, I'm good. I ate earlier. Where is my real estate person at? Let me see. There are notaries that take the training that are known as notary signing agents. If you are a notary without this training, you should not partake in these notary signings. In 2015, NYS didn't have a notary log. Okay. And you said I used to do bank signings and then HUD signings. All right. Thank you so much for your expertise on today. Guys, got any questions? Will Whitehead scam himself? Get back in the building. Well, listen, Moses and Grossman and all them people, whoever they filed a lawsuit, as you guys saw, against Whitehead, and they have a hearing. I believe it's sometime next week. They have a hearing in order to determine if he fraudulently transferred that deed or not. So I don't think, regardless of whether Gloria Guy was in the building or whatever, it won't be him, is what it sounds like. Unless he got some information we don't have. He said he got documents, so next week he'll be able to produce whatever documents that he has. He said, nope, he burned the bridge. You said this is all a hot mess that's confusing. It makes me want to cuss. Gloria Guy just out here trying to serve God in the community and caught up with all the fools and scammers. And the crazy part is, I was like, how do you meet these people? I know you guys probably think that I don't ask the hard questions. I asked them the hard questions because I was like, so how did you even meet these people? That was my first question. And they were like, well, we had a real estate attorney who was a member of our church, and she introduced us, I guess, to be able to get financing for that. So I'm assuming it just wasn't traditional, quote unquote. They probably had some high interest rate or whatever it was. And which I would presume if they just started LLC, it wouldn't have a history of credit. So maybe, and that was the whole goal, was let's just get this building. But what we're going to do is we're going to refinance, pay everybody back, and then we'll have Bank of America or whoever be the only people that we pay. That was the goal. But they didn't know that they would have all these different obstacles because there has to be agreement, I guess, apparently on the mortgage points or whatever it is. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking it is. Hard money lenders. That's what I'm thinking too. Again, I'm no real estate guru. But Whitehead always got imaginary documents that never materialize. If he doesn't produce documents, then this will be another case for Whitehead. Now, he produced documents in that bankruptcy court. Remember what the judge said. The hard question. Let's see if I'm ready. How you wasn't sleeping in front of the building until you opened the safe. With the money situation, this is what they told me, y'all. Some of this stuff is just flabbergasting me. Some people, there are really nice and good people still out here. Maybe because I grew up in the hood, I look at everybody a little side eye. So I want to double check everything. And I understand, even with lawyers, you're supposed to hire lawyers in order to represent you. You take your lawyer's advice. We're counselors, allegedly, as well. Like, that's a part of what we're counselors and, attorneys at law. So you're supposed to be well versed in order to direct people. They've had a few lawyers, and that's what I was kind of saying. Like, how would a lawyer, you see how convoluted this is? If you were a lawyer and they came up to you and they said, we want you to take on this case and help us get this building back, wouldn't this be difficult for you to just understand? That's why I said I don't even necessarily blame maybe lawyers not understanding the whole crux, because they're not going to go through old cases like I did. I was like, let me find a case these people were in and go find some transcripts attached to a motion or something. And that's what I did. I'm like, let me go find and see who these people are. Then maybe I can see how they operate. Do they just go around buying buildings? Or do these trusts loan out money to people and they use the buildings as security? And that's what that transcript showed, is what they do, which is what they need to prove to the court in order to show that it was a legal transfer, because that means it should have been a foreclosure sale. So that was free guy. Me too. I do as well. But you do. I agree with the intellect that said you have to be alert at all times. You need to read everything. You need to question everything. Your lawyer's job, you work for them. So you need to question whatever you're signing. If you got questions, call them. I think my videos asking questions has probably triggered them the most, so that they can go ahead and call their lawyers and be like, hey, well, this Pam chick on the internet on YouTube, they lawyer probably like, why is you looking at people on YouTube, said that A, B, C, D, and E. Because it's if I were on it, it would be a whole different way probably that I would approach it. But that's just me. But again, they still have the ability to try to, from the illegal lockout standpoint, that's triple damages. So if you can show that the and that's what I was talking about before I went out on a tangent. If you can show, like you said, that there was $100,000 that was in this safe, because that's what's alleged, and that there was, I think it was another 40,000 or so that was in some envelope, the envelopes I told you that they threw out or whatever. If they can show that 3 times, that ain't no chump change. 150 times 3, shoot, you on top off rent. So that's what I would be like, not literally, but fruit from the poisonous tree. You did a lot of research. I did. Property he listed on deed is not even his. He signed it over to his wife, and she filed a TPO against him. So you're talking about the ex-wife? Is that what you're talking about? I don't know. I'm far away. There is nothing worse than scamming real estate attorney. I don't know. That's what they said. He said one of the people that talked to me that's familiar with this situation with Gloria God said that the attorney allegedly went to jail too. I said, what in the world? Where these people come from? Gloria God needs you, Pam, and the intellect. That's why I said, what y'all think? What do you guys think they should do? What y'all think should happen? I'm like, everybody need to get sued at this point. Sounds like a soap opera. Yeah, that's what I said. Hopefully, well, whoever the real person is, because it sounds like perhaps they put trustees on it, but the trustees aren't necessarily working it, as you've seen from the deposition. So the real people that's behind actually the money and all of that stuff, hopefully they can work it out. They could work it out and just sell them the building. Seem like it'll be cheaper and it'll take away the headache. But I just want to show you guys, like, it seemed like everybody's connected. Now, again, I was told the first mortgage was somehow akin to them. I wasn't able to verify that, because, and it may be that they're mixing up the loans because it was 3. But the first mortgage, they actually, according to the document we read, they're the ones that notified them, like, hey, it's a tax foreclosure sale going on. Y'all aware of this? And they were still literally, let me see. I'm gonna pull up this one more thing I'm gonna do. I'm for real gonna get off. Wait a minute. I love talking to you guys. Um, so I'm gonna show you just one set of checks that I have, so y'all can see, because I'm prove to you, like, I asked for all the stuff. I'm like, I need to know. This is dated October 30th to 2019. So again, this was after they had already transferred it, right? 7250. December 31st, 2018, 7250. Go all the way January 7th, 2019, February 13th, 2019, March 22nd. That's all I'm saying. These people were still trying to pay. If I know my stuff don't belong to me anymore, I ain't paying nobody. I would be like, I'm not okay. I got these outstanding mortgages. It is what it is. I guess when they go up in foreclosure or whatever, like, that wouldn't be my problem anymore. If I don't own it anymore, that means the new owner got to worry about them deeds. So got to worry about all them liens on there. But they were still paying it. Oh, he was accusing me of not showing these checks. Who was? Who is accusing me of not showing the checks? I have some of the checks. I really do. I just did, honestly, I ain't redact them all, and I ain't want to put, you see how I had to redact them. I didn't want to, like, Likes almost at 500. Come on, y'all. We can do it. Y'all got me on here lingering for likes. Let me go down here. Let's see. Let me get August 30th, 2020. Let's keep it going. This February 28th, 2021. Let's go. I'm gonna keep February 28th, 2022. Now I skipped some. Y'all seen I skipped it because I just ain't, I just want y'all to see that I got them. I ain't lying to you. If I tell you I got it, my word is good. Thank you. I appreciate it. So, Pam, do you know why Moses gave Whitehead some leeway? Child, I guess we're gonna find out in court. The stuff with Whitehead, and this is why I think personally he got mad at me about this, because perhaps he thinks they probably wouldn't be fighting as hard if I wasn't like on this YouTube channel and we all cheering for him, and we got the GoFundMe. That's still up, by the way, if you guys want to donate to them. We got all that stuff going on, and I think that's what really pissed him off, because I don't even talk about him in a negative way like I do, like other people do. Like you see on other channels. I stick to what the documents say. I say it's alleged. He got the right to prove whether it is yay or nay. He got the right to do all of that. Even when he does responses, I talk about, his responses. I don't just keep it to what one side say. I show the other side as well. So that's not true. So anything that has to do with him, he gonna have to fight with Moses and them. That's what I tell. I mean, that's, to me, that ain't even Gloria God's fight. Your fight should be with the people that previously took your stuff, and then they fight should be with Whitehead, who trying to allegedly take the property. Praise God, you have a gift of discernment. You do the research and research the research. You investigate the investigator. He mad because your knowledge of the law is showing how they ran game on him, and now suing him. He mad because it never falls his way. Listen, apparently he wasn't new to this. He was true to this with what he was doing. Because when he filed that bankruptcy, we was all like, "What?" Then when he filed it a second time to prevent them from getting into the building again, we were like, "What?" So I don't know. I heard he said he get back in the building whenever he wants to. I don't know how that happens because the order is still in place, and that's kind of that. Her order is still in place, allowing them to be in there. And then the other people that owned it, they're saying you don't own it and you took it from them. So perhaps Grossman is his daddy. You coming with facts and documents with comprehension disrupts his ability to control the narrative. Yeah. The Bible clearly says if a man doesn't work, he doesn't eat. How is this demon surviving? They should give him a church free and clear in lieu of the share of the three. Listen, if they can come up with them damages, baby, them some real damages, because that we seen the damages, and I'm not talking about the building. Even with the GoFundMe, I was like, I wouldn't put $1 in that building until my name was back on the title. But you do need to replace, they feed the homeless, or not even necessarily the homeless, but the neighborhood, those that want to get the food there. They had to pay thousands of dollars in attorney fees. They've come out of money. They said they had money in there. They had some things that were taken out that they claim belongs to them, according to them. You got some damages. They have some damages if they can just, come with some receipts. That's what we want to know. I don't know how he knows Moses. We don't know. They allege that he contacted, and I'm assuming Grossman, because in fact, I want to say one of the emails that he attached to one of his pleadings on the bankruptcy site. Let me see. Y'all always got me going back down another rabbit hole. On the bankruptcy, he attached some emails or something. Let me see. What's this? Nah, these are these messed up deeds. Let me see. Man, oh man. I wasn't prepared for that, so I didn't. He had some emails or something that he had attached. And I want to say it was from Grossman, but it didn't show like the actual email. It just showed that there was some type of communication, but you couldn't see exactly what that communication was. See, this is the letter right here, though, that they sent to the pastor trying to terminate. I think this is how they found out about Whitehead, too. So around the same time, he sent a letter to them dated March 16th of 2022 saying, please be advised that the undersigned hereby elects to terminate your tenancy of the above described premises effective at 12:01 April 30th. Please be further advised that you must vacate the premises on or before the termination date and that your failure to do so shall result in the undersigned instituting summary proceedings pursuant to the New York State real property law and regain possession of the premises. And that's when they were like, who is this guy? They didn't even know who he was when they sent him the letter. They didn't know who he was. I'm trying to see if I could find, there was an email. Again, we couldn't see exactly. It's not in this. It's not in this one. Man. But I think he had, anyways, I believe he had some communication with Grossman and them. And when he had that communication, it was, according to them, Whitehead expressed interest in purchasing the property. That's why I don't understand. Let's go back to this article because the article doesn't even make a whole lot of sense. If you go back to the article, Whitehead's position is that he bought the property fair and square at an auction nearly a year ago. Well, we know that it was 5904 Trust Foster Avenue, and Moses was the trustee who allegedly bought the property. And then they say that the people, 5904, that Gloria God, the church, they claim they were squatting there ever since. The building was abandoned, and they would basically unlawfully enter it on Sundays and have services. But we all know that they had one of the biggest food pantries in the area every single Saturday. So this is the article for those that just joined that started us on this whole journey to figure out this whole Glory of God saga. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this live. If you done so, show me by hitting that like on your way out of here. Thank you to all 500 and something of you guys that have that joined. I thank you, Frederica, for the Cash App. Cynthia, thank you so much for the Cash App. Vincent, thank you. Natty Spencer, thank you so much. I shouldn't have said your whole name. I'm sorry. I apologize. QB, thank you. Angela, thank you. Laversa, one of my biggest consistent supporters. Thank you so much. Trudy, another one. Thank you so much for the Cash App. Sandra, thank you so much. I thank you guys for appreciating all the work that I put into this so that I could hopefully bring some clarity. If you have any more questions, I'm not opposed to answering them, but hopefully I answered your questions, even though I know this was a long journey that we went on together today. So as always, I'm I'm going to leave you guys with this intro. This is my son again, who is on this video. I'm very, very proud of him. And I think it's a bop. So I'm going to leave this bop here, and then we going to holla at you next time.
Yeah. So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit of accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.